Our last award for the evening is the Law Enforcement Official of the Year. Lieutenant Robert Quinoñes was born in Havana, Cuba. He is a law enforcement veteran whose career spans 32 years. He joined the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office back in 1989, serving in uniform operations, detective at Homicide Unit, Organized Crime Bureau, Detective Sergeant, Watch Commander, as well as executive officer assignments. He was the former section commander at the Sheriff's Eagle Academy, where he had the privilege to mentor at-risk youth. And Lieutenant also reminded me that we first met some 17 years ago at the Eagle Academy. He said it was just a few years ago. I'm like, no, I haven't been allowed off the anchor desk in a long time. I'm like, I remember that story. And I said, because it's not often we have to go out to Belle Glade, right, Maria? And I said to him, I go, I've been there 18 and a half years. That was like 17 years ago. It was one of the first stories I ever did. He goes, wow, that long? I'm like, yeah, thanks. Robert is the administrative officer responsible for several community outreach units. These specialized units strive to build stronger and safer communities. He is committed to a concerted effort with community leaders, civic groups, nonprofit organizations, and faith-based leaders to create trust as well as open dialogue with our diverse population. He feels strongly that the first ever Summit of Latin American and Caribbean Consulates is a major first step toward this endeavor. Assisting me, a familiar face, to present this award is PBSO Chief Deputy Michael Gauger. Now, join me in honoring Lieutenant Robert Quinoñes with the 2016 Shining Star Award, Law Enforcement Official of the Year.
I'm going to say a few words. You know, it's often been said behind every successful man is a woman. Every once in a while, though, I have two. I have a wife of 40 years, and I have a work wife, Shannon McWilliams over there, who keep me on track and keep me busy. But, you know, Bob has been one of those guys that have helped so many people be successful. Captain Kirshner, his captain, will tell you that the work that he has done, and Bob has responsibility, their division, over 1,700 civilian volunteers, like 100 reserve officers, and then on and on and on. They have so much responsibility, but they have pulled it all together. They have made it working like a well-oiled machine. And one thing we didn't mention is that he received a life-saving award. You know, living out in Belle Glade, there's a lot of canals. And a car went into a canal, and Lieutenant Quinoñes was able to go in and help save the people. So I'm very honored to be able to present this award to Bob tonight. So,
Thank you, Chief. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm truly honored to be here with you this evening. It's been a long journey for me, and I truly am blessed to work for one of the best agencies in the country, that being the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. I wanted to recognize a few people here tonight that really have made my career, and also my lovely sweetheart fiance, Jeanette Garcia, for putting up with the long hours, working nights. Thank you, sweetheart. Also wanted to thank Colonel Frank DeMario for being here this evening with us. Frank, thank you, sir. My chain of command, of course, will be Sheriff Rick Bradshaw, a very good sheriff. He's done a wonderful job for Palm Beach County, and we're blessed to have him. I also want to thank my captain, Mike Kirshner, who entrusted me as his executive officer, and I thank you, Mike. There's one more person that I want to thank. We're all familiar with that State Farm commercial, late at night with the phone calls, and the wife comes down and goes, "Who are you talking to, honey?" And the guy goes, "It's Jake from State Farm." Well, I have a Jake that I work with. His name is Sergeant George Searing. Stand up, George. George and I work hand in hand. We work late hours, and many a times we are talking on the phone at midnight, and Jeanette says, "Who are you talking to, honey?" "Well, it's George, honey." "Sure." But it's truly an honor to be here, like I said before. There's also one person that I want to recognize this evening that I want to give my thanks, and that person I had to go back all the way to 1974. And I was privileged and honored to be mentored by a police officer, and his name was Nicholas Girardo of the Union City Police Department in the state of New Jersey. You know, I was a young boy back then, and this officer really took his time to get to know me. I was having some issues in school, kind of a troublemaker, to be honest with y'all. And he mentored me. And I remember the first time I met him in uniform, and I said, "Gee, you know, he was sharp looking. His uniform was pressed." And I said, "One day I want to be a police officer just like Officer Nick." That's what I called him, Officer Nick. And Officer Nick really made a difference in my life. Sadly, Officer Nick was gunned down in November of 1974. And as a young boy, I remember the pain that I felt that my big brother, this police officer, took time to spend time with me to make sure I didn't get in trouble, gave me guidance. He was killed in the line of duty. And I thought it would be fitting for tonight to honor his memory. November 4th, of course, just went by, and been 42 years since he was killed. And he was executing a warrant on an individual that was wanted. He was wanted out of Dade County, Florida. This individual had shot a police officer in a robbery in Miami and left him paralyzed for life. Now, Officer Nick knew exactly the dangers of the job. By this time, he had made detective. He was moving up in the ranks. And he went out with his partner to apprehend this felon. And there was a confrontation, and the felon took a gun out and shot Nick. Even after Nick was shot in the stomach, he had the courage to leap forward and hit the bad guy's arm knocking his gun down as he fired again, which struck Nick's partner. Nick is credited for saving his partner's life. That's a true hero. I remember when I heard of what happened, he left his wife and 3 small children. I made a commitment that day that I wanted to be like Officer Nick. It took me 10 years. And in 1984, I started my career in law enforcement, taking an oath to protect and serve. And by doing so, in my heart, I always promised to continue the legacy of fallen officer Nick Guerrado. Rest in peace, my brother. I want to again say how grateful I am to receive this award, and especially knowing that the work that Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office is doing is making a difference in our community. As I leave you this evening, I want to close with a quote from Miguel de Cervantes, the Spanish writer and poet of Don Quixote de la Mancha. Too much sanity may be madness, and the madness of all, to see life as it is and not as it should be. Thank you very much. Thank you to the Chamber of Commerce. Sam Roman, we've worked closely together. I hope to work closely together with you in the future. You are an inspiration, sir. Chief Geiger. 47 years of serving the community, and I'm proud to say you're a friend. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, everyone.
Robert.